is the newest animated movie from Disney Animation Studios and is about a family named the Clades. A journey deep into uncharted and treacherous land where fantastical creatures await the legendary Clades, a family of explorers whose differences threaten to topple their latest and by far most crucial mission. Strange World was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and unfortunately, to an extent, it did disappoint me a little bit. And I'll get into those negatives in a minute, but what I want to bring up first is the aesthetic of this movie. I thought the visuals and the animation were top notch. The animation for both Pixar, Disney Animation, and animation in general just keeps getting better and better as time goes on. They have this thing down pat now. It's amazing how far they have come since the first 3D movie, which was Toy Story in 1995. Even that still looks amazing. But the technology that they're able to incorporate now, you can see like every little bit of facial hair coming off of the characters, is amazing. But I guess to add to the visual element of this movie, I loved how it felt very comic booky and it felt very old-timey, I guess. That's the best way to describe it. It felt like some of those 1950s serials that you would watch on TV on like Saturday night or like Saturday morning, you know. Kind of something like the scene of Woody's Roundup in Toy Story 2. It feels very old school in that regard. I liked it. It felt like listening to one of those old radio broadcasts. Like I felt like this was that story being told to me, but I was also watching a visual medium of that story as I was listening to it. That was the vibe I was getting for this movie. And I really, really enjoyed that element. It needed that. And to add to that, the scene transitions also made it feel very old school like that. That added flavor and it added to that aesthetic of the movie that I think the movie was desperately trying to go for. And it actually worked. I thought they were going to try too hard to incorporate all that stuff, but it worked. The voice cast is top notch too. Jake Gyllenhaal as Searcher Clade is really, really good. Dennis Quaid, Gabriel Union, Lucy Liu, I loved everything. Love how their characters were able to emote in the tone of their voice. I love how they were able to change the tone of their voice so quickly. Their voices just fit with their characters. The movie's themes are also very prevalent too. Most Disney movies focus more on kind of like a sister bond or like a mother-daughter type of thing. This one's father and son, and it tries to do it in two dynamics. I think it mostly works. It stumbles in some parts, but it mostly works. And I thought that was a nice change of pace. That was something that felt fresh to these Disney animation movies, at least this recent batch, this recent run of Disney animation movies, because I think my complaint with the past few is that they have been feeling kind of the same. Like the formula is there, but it doesn't seem like Disney has broken away from that formula. They're just sticking to what's working. This one at least tried to do something a little bit different, but that's also where some negatives come in because that leads into some shortcomings in the storytelling. There's not a lot here in terms of story. Usually these Disney animation movies are very vast and move a lot with their story. They have so many moving parts of their stories. This one just feels so straightforward, and in ways it feels lazy in that regards. It doesn't feel as expansive as many other Disney animation films have in recent years. And also, Disney animation is kind of falling into a trap where they don't really have a main villain for these movies. It's more about the internal conflict, like Frozen 2 didn't have a main villain, and Kanto didn't have a main villain either. But at least those movies had conflicts that the characters were dealing with. This movie has a conflict, but I felt like it was a very weak conflict. It wasn't resonating with me at all, and it was very hard to really pick up on that conflict until very far into the movie, until almost the end. It did feel like this movie was reaching at times for straws to grasp to try and come up with an antagonist or at least a conflict, because there's a bait and switch towards the middle of the movie, and then it's immediately undone like 5 minutes later, which was a bit disappointing. I think it would have been interesting to have some certain characters be villainous characters in the movie, but the movie doesn't take full advantage of that. There are some standout characters in here though, like the three-legged dog Legend. Amazing. And Splat, I love Splat. Do like 100 spinoffs of just Legend and Splat. Team up a buddy Disney Plus shows. I'll take it. Anything good comes of this movie, I hope it's a bunch of spin-offs with those two, because they're amazing. They're the two best characters by far in the entire movie. This movie did slightly disappoint me, but I feel like people are just going to hark on it a lot because it is one of the weaker Disney animation movies. I did find entertainment in it, though. It's just one of those movies that's going to be instantly forgettable. You know, it's got some slick action. The animation's really good. They're able to weave the characters in and out of each scene really well. It's just nothing's really gonna stick with me, even though I had a fun time watching it. And I think it's just because of the story. It didn't hit the beats it needed to hit, and it didn't have that central conflict for me, whether it was a villain or some internal conflict that the characters were dealing with. And when it tried to do that, it just backtracked on all that. I still enjoyed Strange World with 3/4 worth of a bucket of popcorn. Slight disappointment, wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, but you can't win them all. So if you guys have seen Strange World, what did you guys think of it? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.